Hey everyone, I'm going to do a tutorial very similar to what Michael did the other day. We have a shot that's going to need to be set up for layout, so I'm going to show you how that works. We've got my dog Gimli here. He's on the edge of his seat, ready for this tutorial. So hopefully you're ready for it too. All right, so the shot that we are doing is this shot here.
Penalty. Holding.
So basically the date is a little bit too aggressive with Lucy. The referee comes and issues a penalty for holding. The shot, 7 seconds long at 60 frames per second, should be about 430 frames. Already got the basic scene set up for this. You can kind of just see just a very simple living room with the couch. And we have a camera here for the render cam shot 580. iClone, as of right now, doesn't do two cameras at the same time. However, if you click the H key, you can flip back and forth between the cameras that we're using. So that's very, very useful. All right, so I'm going to go ahead and import in our characters. So I'll go ahead and import that. And then there she is. Grab, if she's selected, it's going to actually replace her with another character. So I'm going to click off her, go ahead and import. Great. And I can kind of move him to the side and you can kind of see what he looks like. And we need a referee. And Cynthia comes in. We have motion capture for the entire film. I'll go ahead and drag in. There we go. Version 3. Perceptual neuron. Done. And then there we go. Version 3. Perception neuron. And then same thing. There we go. Perception. 430 frames is a shot. I'm going to speed it up a tad just so it plays a little faster. So I'll just set them all to 125 and position them. I'm going to right click and use the motion direction tool. That's the way we want to be able to reposition. That way it won't set a keyframe. And then just see how well they kind of roughly kick. And we got to kind of get them in a position so it works at all angles. So I'll go ahead and kind of move. Kind of reaches in. She pushes him back. Okay, not bad. So I think Cynthia's going to have to be a little bit more over to the left just to fill that negative space. And so she kind of comes from the negative space below. And maybe she comes a little bit delayed, more like this, right? It kind of pops in and then all of a sudden comes in there, boom, penalty. Might need to change to a different focal length. Yeah, I think we got to change to a different focal length because Cynthia gets a little bit small. I'll go here and what we do is it was set to a 35. Let's go to a little bit more of a flatter lens, more like 50. That puts her a little bit closer, but the camera is locked. So I'll go ahead and unlock that and just kind of scroll it back. Just get that same, really similar to the shot here. Not bad. And then it makes an extra key. I can just drag that over here. All right, so go here is the camera framing. Yeah, it's a little bit better. The only thing is Cynthia does get kind of lost. Maybe we just kind of rotate the camera a little bit. Yeah, I'll put that keyframe there. Okay, let's check it out. So we go. Now I can see her so much better. Yes, and then just to reference the animatic. Yeah, I think it should be even less distorted. So let's actually go from 50 to 80 millimeter. And this, the render view, by the way, under render video, this is where that resolution is set. First things first, I don't need this beginning frame that each of them have. Go ahead and trim at the same spot so that they're timed together. I'll go ahead and trim here, it looks like on frame 2. Get rid of that first frame. That way I'm essentially just getting rid of the T-pose. Cool. And then same thing. Okay, so now we're going to go in and start to make some corrections. For me, a lot of the motion capture comes in a little bit jittery. So the easiest way to clean it up is we're going to go through for each of the characters, click on the animation layer. We'll use the default animation workspace for a second. Go to the base motion, and there's like a keyframe in every frame. Unlock that. Go ahead, right click, smooth all, and I'm just going to use a small factor of 3, keeping the custom tangent so it doesn't mess up the tangents. That will provide a nice smooth result, but not too smooth. And we'll go ahead and do the same thing for, oh, my bad. Make sure to go back and lock that and then go back to the base layer because we will be working on the base layer. So same thing now for Stuart. And then if I were to go ahead and kind of play this out, let's see how this feels. So they do feel a little bit jittery, and they also feel a little slow. So I'm going to speed them up a little bit more. All of the characters. Okay, so I'll go ahead and play that again. Great, that feels better. So you'll notice on the bottom it has 125%. For me, I'm trying to work on even numbers as I can. So now that we've kind of got that speed, I'm just going to kind of trim off the part that we don't care about, which is the end of the clip. And then that kind of, you can see, resets it to 100%. Probably a different way to do that too, but that's the way that I usually do it. And not just because I'm trying to, start fresh. Now for Cynthia, I like the speed at which she calls the penalty, but I don't like the speed at which she comes up. So I think she should come up faster. What we do is we treat this more like a nonlinear editor, like Michael had done, and do 125% from the beginning, and then 100% here, and that should blend between the two. So let's try that. That feels way better. So now that that's good, I'm gonna go ahead and merge just so it's one clip, takes away the naming. That creates all these keys. I'm just gonna kind of wipe that. I'm gonna go ahead and flatten it. Michael mentioned this too. If you flatten, it's gonna go and take all these merged layers and put them down to the base layer. It's gonna make it a little bit easier to work. We can always get that data back later. So I'll go ahead and flatten all layers. I could have kept the keys too. You saw that as an option. I think first things first, Lucy's wrist is broken. Let me go ahead and fix that. To go through and on Lucy, what we want to do is we want to expose the keys for just her left wrist or left arm. So go ahead and sample to the layer, sample selected parts, and I'm just going to do her left arm and her left finger. Go ahead and do that. And that's going to put all these keyframes down here. And I'm just going to go to the point where it starts to break, and we can just redo it. Yeah, right around there. Go ahead and delete those keys. So we could, I guess a couple options is we could just animate the arm completely from scratch. I think that's what I probably should try to do first. So we'll just keep I think the first keyframe makes some real sense. Cool. Now I can just go ahead and reposition her hand where I want it, first keyframe. And some of the poses were kind of off on the hand anyway, so rotate the thumb. Give it a little more of a grip. There we go. That's a pretty good pose. Okay, so that's our first keyframe. Oh, and so see how she has a little bobble here? What we can do is we can actually do instead of constantly doing a key, we can just do a edit reach target, and that will be like a constraint in Maya. So edit reach target, click the first key, click, and we do pretty dummy. And then, so now if we kind of scrub through, we see that that hand is fixed. Okay, and eventually we want to kind of release it, which is probably right about here. So here we release it. By default, you're not going to see the reach, so you just need to turn that on if you want to actually see the reach. And then if you scroll down, you'll be able to see it there on the bottom. Okay, so now go here at the same frame as the reach target and go ahead and let's try to set a key on all of them this time just to see if that's better. That works easier sometimes for in place. Fingers will kind of straight, so I go to press them away. And I moved the camera on accident. And that's why you lock your camera view. So my bad for not doing that. Anyways, we're just trying to redo her arm. And I actually don't set these other keyframes, I think, too close to each other. So I'll go ahead and get rid of those for now. Great. And I'm not going to do this perfect because I'm just trying to set this up for one of our animators. So I'm mostly just kind of focusing on layout. Can't even see her wrist there. Right here, then she's probably going to push out with that hand too. And again, I'm not trying to do this perfect in this one setting. I'm just trying to kind of roughly get it into place. And actually, so our camera isn't centered very well. Keyframe, lock it. So that's kind of working. Now, the one thing that I kind of messed up here is there is a penalty for holding. I didn't bring in the audio. So I'm gonna go ahead and do that now. And I'll export the audio from here because I've got it trimmed. So let me go ahead and export audio only. Go ahead and make that a wave real quick. Bingo, bango, that is done. Okay, so flipping back, I think we actually have to drag it in. Go ahead and just drag that in. There we go, put that in the first frame, and now I can hear it. Yeah, and I can also see that's a little bit slow based on this audio. Yeah, it's a little slow. So we'll have to speed it up a little bit more. 5. Let's see if that matches the audio better.
Penalty. Holding.
Yeah, it's not bad. I think Cynthia can get a little bit faster too. So I think she can just trim off some of her beginning. And then that way she kind of just pops up over time.
Penalty. Holding.
We'll just, we're going to have to add some extra keys because maybe then Cynthia kind of looks at him. But I'll worry about that for Eddie. So I think the biggest thing now is I've got some face performance already for Cynthia. So I'm going to go ahead and bring that in. I'll go ahead and open that project. We already went through and just kind of did a start for all of the dialogue. So she's not wearing a hat. So to switch out the character, you can just go ahead and click on the character, navigate to the one that you want to switch out to, drag her football character on her, boom, and it switches out for football version of Cynthia. Then I can't see my dialogue because for whatever reason it hides it right after you make that switch. All right, so penalty holding is what we want. So I'm going to go ahead and maybe, I don't care about these extra looks, so I'll just kind of trim here. So on 641, I'll go ahead and also trim the vising. And we only need the penalty for holding. Great. Okay, so I'm going to save this as another file to kind of bring in. I'll just save it on my desktop. All right, going back to the file we had before. Perfect. The easiest way I've found to kind of merge this is we're going to go ahead and save out Cynthia's animation the way it is. And just for reference, it starts at frame 43. So what I'll do is I'm going to go ahead and save motion clip. And I'll put it on my desktop for now. I'll just call this Cynthia. little counterintuitive, but I'm going to go ahead and delete out Cynthia. I'll show you why here in a second. Gone from the scene. We'll go ahead and we'll merge a project. So on my desktop, the dialog holding, go ahead and merge that in. I only want Cynthia. So now we have Cynthia again, both the visine and the expression. We should have the dialogue, which we do. I'm just going to bring in from the desktop the animation that we saved out, that same motion file, drag that on here. Because of the fact that body and face is separate, it separates this out. I'm going to go again. I think I said frame 43, boom. And then I'll kind of just make sure that that is on frame 43. Doesn't have to be precise or anything like that. And we're going to have to motion direction. Can move her in the right spot. So just kind of lower. We don't care about her feet going through the ground. We cannot see that from our point of view. Now, the thing is, we want to line up the sound, the two different sounds. So I'm going to make sure a double sound here for a second.
Penalty. Holding. Penalty.
All right, so the penalty came in over here. So I'm going to go ahead and move more like right there and more like right there. And what I can do is I can actually just mute this so I'm not double hearing it. And I got to make sure that these are visine and expression needs to be lined up frame for frame, which it is currently not. I'll go ahead and just kind of nudge that over. There we go. To see if that lines up.
Penalty.
We got to change the camera because her arm is blocking. So I'll just kind of get closer to her face just to see that this is about right.
Penalty. Holding.
I think maybe it's right.
Penalty. Holding.
Oh, maybe a little bit earlier.
Penalty. Holding.
Yeah, that's better. Okay, so now we got the dialogue in there. We switch the cameras, so pretty good setup here for passing off to Eddie.
Penalty. Holding.
So Eddie is when we need to kind of modify the arm. I think we can do it here. So she points at him. I think we don't want the arm to block the face. So what we do is right here, we go ahead and we set a keyframe. Go ahead and just do that. Set the keyframe, and then here, I just want that shoulder to not be blocking the face. So just so you can see her lips.
Penalty. Holding.
That's a little bit better. I'm gonna do one more thing before passing off to Eddie, and that's to at least put in some facial expressions. I will show it. So we'll show Reallusion Digital Soul. So for me, the way to kind of navigate this is I like to go up to Google, and I just like to go Reallusion Digital Soul. And then I just go to their website. So emotion. So maybe first they're happy, you know, like because it's going all right, okay. All right, so maybe, yeah, that's not bad. So maybe Lucy was amused at first, but then all of a sudden she was afraid. So going back to iClone, what we'll do is we'll go into the content manager, and go into packs. We can just, if we already have it installed, go ahead and install, there you go, Digital Soul. And then I can do a search for amused, shows it up. And then there we go, throw that on Lucy. Go ahead and go down, and we've got this amused. I don't want the whole thing. I want her to start amused. So I'll take this part here. Go ahead and trim it. Get rid of that part. We don't want that. But she starts off, she's already amused. And that's why the guy makes a move, right? Because he's reading this in a certain way. And then eventually she's not going to be amused, which is right around here. Now she's actually kind of frightened or angry. So go ahead and we'll come back here. Let me just kind of check this out. So we've got This what is kind of interesting. It doesn't matter if it's male or female. We can use these for either. No, I'm going to do the what, because the what, it needs to be a big reaction. I'll go here. Again, we go up to the content manager, digital soul, and I'm just going to put in the what. And like Michael was showing, it's going to kind of blend in between. I kind of want this part right here where she's kind of starting to say what. Trim that, get rid of this, blend here. So she's just like, what? Right. Okay, and that will provide as like a little bit of a base. So now what we can do is we can actually build upon that base. Megan Trainor said it's all about that base, or a different base. If we go to the face key right here, and then go to expressions. So let's say that we are pretty good with Lucy through about here. So what we do is we set a keyframe for default, right? Because we want to keep it where it is. But then eventually go here. She's a little bit more angry. So we're going to actually then kind of switch into more of an angry face. So it kind of builds upon that. I'm just going to see something that might feel pretty good. That's not bad. Let's see. Yeah, she's kind of angry. That looks pretty. She looks pretty angry there. Oh, that's even better. Yeah, that's even better. Okay, so that's pretty good. So she kind of goes, it builds upon itself. We can also animate her eyes. We can do this a couple different ways. We could do it with the puppet tool. I'm going to do it with just the eye look. Kind of set a keyframe by doing this, kind of dragging it back and forth. That will just kind of set a keyframe, which we'll be able to see if we were to scroll down over here. We can kind of see that. Go ahead and eye look. She's going to look to the left to kind of look at him. And now if we look, she's maybe not perfectly looking in the right position, but Eddie can kind of, going back, we need an expression for Stuart. Frightened. Yeah, frightened's great. Okay, so he is going to be frightened. I would be too. Go ahead and go back to the content manager. And now he's frightened. And we can also speed up the frightened too. It can get there faster. And then maybe it starts to blend and go from there. And again, we can build on that facial expression. Yeah, that looks pretty good. So I'm just going to probably stop it here. This is a good spot to be able to pass off to Eddie on our team. And thanks so much for spending the time to watch this tutorial with me, and check out the other tutorials. Just follow our progress as we go. It's going to be a good amount longer. What we're doing is a 15-minute animated short at a really high quality. So thanks for being a fan. I'll talk to you soon. Well, I won't talk to you soon. See you soon.